The grass isn't always greener, and actually, the grass isn't greener, but we tend to think it is. Now, if you're one that gets caught up in fantasy a lot, daydreaming a lot, nothing wrong with that, but ask where it's coming from. You see, often those that have been very traumatized, and I'll speak for myself, I have an amazing imagination and I'm dream weaving all the time and I fantasize all the time, and parts of it come from a really healthy, curious place. It's that thing of being human, right? And other parts at times, particularly when I'm pushed to my edge, comes from trauma. See, I experienced a lot of pain growing up. I experienced a lot of violence growing up and uncertainty, right? Through my parents, my primary caregivers, those people that were meant to be safe, right? And so in experiencing that, one of the ways that I would deal with that as a child would be through this almost this disassociation. And I would do that through watching movies and with my grandparents and fantasizing, being in a different place, taking myself out of the present moment because the present moment wasn't safe, and being in other areas, being in fantasy lands. Like I would be with Superman, I would be Superman, or whether it's I remember watching this movie Willow, and Val Kilmer was in it, and he was the hero in that, but he was like the broken hero. But I saw myself as broken as well, so I thought I could be the hero and the broken hero, and you get the picture, right? But I would fantasize a lot. Now that then just becomes a pattern. It becomes something that I am accustomed to. My mind is accustomed to it. I think through it. It's very natural to me. So I apply that pattern of fantasizing and imagining and dreaming big in every area of my life, including business. Like I'm a real visionary person. I thrive in that space. I'm accustomed to it. It feels safe for me, right? There's the key. It feels safe for me to fantasize. I do that in relationship. Still sometimes do. When I'm stuck in my relationship with Christine, I'll immediately go to fantasy. Oh, what if this and what if that, or what if we weren't together, or what if none of that is really true? Of course I want to be in my relationship. I don't want to run when it gets difficult, but I saw my mother do that. I did that. I saw my father do that. It's the norm for me. So it's undoing these old patterns that are just normal to us, but not necessarily serving us any longer. And so the grass is greener mentality sometimes can come from this place of fantasy within, that's our coping strategy. That's the thing that we do and the action that we go to when life becomes difficult. That's how we deal with stress and challenge and arduous times. We go into fantasy. And the grass is greener mentality, like, oh, I could be in a better relationship. That's part of that. It's an extension of that. Oh, I could be with a woman that sees me, or I could be with a man that does this for me, or I could be with a man that is emotionally available, or I could be with a woman that is that doesn't judge me, doesn't criticize me, and loves me for who I am. Or we could have be having better sex. There's a partner out there that can. Well, it's everything that everyone else is doing, but what about you? See, when I looked at myself and I saw that I'm really the common denominator here. And I keep fantasizing about things that could be better when things are difficult in my relationship. I thought, well, that's a pattern within me, right? And so I sat with that, and I continue to sit with that pattern. So the grass isn't always greener. What's underneath? Where's that coming from? Is it a pattern that you're just familiar with? Do you run, whether it's in fantasy or you take action and you leave the relationship when it gets challenging? When you could stay and learn and grow and contribute, learn more about yourself, contribute to the relationship, support your partner's healing, allow them to support your healing. Oh, we have these opportunities, but we miss them because we come from fear and panic. And that's sad. And we're better than that. We're more than that as humans, but we don't see ourselves as more because we're stuck in old ways of being. So if you're one of those people that think the grass is greener, or you're one of those people that experience that often in your relationships where people are projecting that on you, what is that saying about you? What is that saying about what you're creating, co-creating, attracting, co-attracting in your life? What are you ignoring? What are you not seeing? Ask yourself quality questions that will help unpack your life in a more meaningful, intentional way. That's been my experience. And so now when I start to fantasize, I just check in. Where's it coming from? Is it coming from a hyper creative place within myself, or is it coming from feeling overwhelmed, feeling threatened in any way, emotionally threatened, relationally threatened? So I'm getting so much better at creating distinctions in those areas of my life, which then yield a net positive result, because now I'm not projecting unconsciously or consciously onto my partner. I'm not pushing or pulling myself away from her. I'm staying in, I'm leaning in. I'm not fearing intimacy as much as I did because intimacy was unsafe for me. So is the grass greener? Maybe. Does it matter? It doesn't. And I'll tell you why, because of everything I've just said. But I'll tell you why, again, maybe in a different way. Because what matters is what's happening here and now, and the opportunity we have to heal these parts of ourselves, or to create greater wholeness, fullness within ourselves, greater sense of love and joy, who we are in the world. You know, a sense of not needing to run, to be present to all of it, to the pain, to the discomfort, to all of it. That's important. It's important because we move away from a fractured sense of self, which is very uncomfortable and very unpleasant, to a sense of self that feels whole. Even if it's uncomfortable, it still feels whole, because we're realizing our come-froms, our intentions, and what's underneath. Power and blessings to you.